what's up guys, DB here from Team Triple Drive. Today I'll be coming to you with a deck profile on my Garmore Bunnies. So this deck is a very budget friendly deck. It can get quite good results. I saw quite a few tops with it in Japan. Although Ezel, in my opinion, is a far stronger variant. It's a lot more consistent, it's a lot more explosive, and it can definitely beat down your opponent's hand a lot more than Garmore can. However, if you do not want to fork out 200 quid, this you can probably pick up for about 50 to 60 pounds, maybe even cheaper depending where you look. It's really good for the price at least, and it definitely gives me a bit of nostalgia because back when Paladin first came out, I used to play Spectral Duke, Garmore, Bunnies, so it's a nice bit of nostalgia. Without further ado, I'll go into the deck profile. So for threes, we play 4 Garmores, 3 Sagramores. I wish I could play 4, I just don't really have the space, unfortunately. 2 Mark Slash Dragon, because he enables multi-attacks, which Garmore doesn't really have any other means of multi-attacking, unfortunately. Well, actually there's one more card that allows you to have multi-attacks. Potentially 2 even. I'll explain some combos in a sec. And then 2 Pelennors. Pelennor is quite a funny card because it's better to ride than Garmore or Mark Slash, especially not Garmore. Better to ride than Sagramore or Mark Slash, especially better than Mark Slash because it gives at least a marker. And its other ability to bounce raid cards back to hand is quite nice defensively, so you can literally vomit your hand out onto the field, get attacks off, and then just get all those cards back to hand, especially if you use something like Sagramore, which gives you a draw and a call. You can even have a pseudo plus from it, which is quite nice. But I also like his second skill, and admittedly you need to get quite lucky before your first grade 3 ride, or by your second grade 3 ride I suppose, and in order to get enough soul, because this deck does use quite a bit of it. But if you do, you can get the Superior Ride off, and when that happens, your opponent sometimes like, what the fuck just happened? And it's quite nice overall. So yeah, I like the 2 Pelennor there. I wouldn't cut it down to 1. I wouldn't, yeah, I just like this lineup for the 3s. Now for the 2s, we play 4 Rampage Turtle. I honestly think this is the best grade 2 in the deck. It makes everyone call 2 more Guardians, the Guardian Circle from hand. I say that as if we have G Guardians standard, but yeah, from hand, if you have more Regas than your opponent, which in this deck is quite easy to do. Unlike Ezel, where you mainly focus on the front row, you generally have more or less a full field plus your Excel circles, so getting more Regas than your opponent isn't that difficult, because especially against Force clans and Protect clans, they have no option of having more Regas than you. So it's really good for aggression, especially when you're multi-attacking. This being able to just make your opponent vomit some more cards is really nice. And then following up, play for Vivian. I think this card is a lot better in this deck than it is in Ezel. Ezel is so tight on Counterblast that I don't really find the room for Vivian, especially when we have so many other better cards to play and some necessary cards as well. But in this deck, I think Vivian is really good. It allows you to basically call another unit without using your hand. But if that's not enough and you just need to keep vomiting field, we do still play 2 of, I keep forgetting his name, Athals. He's alright. In this deck, you don't have the same kill potential as Ezel does, so the games do drag out longer, so you don't really want to be discarding cards from hand to call anything. Especially that you do focus on having quite a few rear guards for the Rampage Turtle. So he's still good because it still allows you to potentially ditch a dead trigger or a dead grade 3 for, you know, more useful units. Although dead grade 3s don't really happen in this deck unless you have no soul and you have a Sagramore, then I guess so. But yeah, to finish up the grade 2 lineup, play 2 Lopia shooters. This is another way we can multi-attack. I had games where I had both of them in hand. Swung with my Vanguard, so I swung with everything. I swung with my Vanguard and then just called these 2 out. Oh no, I swung with two Excel Circus first, then I spawned my Vanguard, called these two out, and it was just like, yes, have fun. And I think it was also the turn of Superior Ride Paladin, which was just hilarious. So yeah, I really enjoy this card. It's not the best card to have high copies of, because your opponent can get damage trigger, and then this is just dead card in your hand. It doesn't expand in field or anything like that. It usually calls over different units, so it's not the best, but it's quite nice sometimes to add that extra final pressure. Following up, we do play 4 of the best grade 1 in the deck. The Brainius, I think his name is. So when you're at grade 3, you put him into the soul, draw a card, and call a card from hand. This is so good. If you open up like 3 of him, it's amazing because you get enough soul to use your Garmore, your Vivians, and you still potentially have enough soul to use Paladin, so that threat of having Paladin is always there. And another thing, if people don't know you're running Paladin, they might not think you are, and having that surprise Superior Ride, it can catch them off guard and do some nice shenanigans. I had people that even knew I ran Paladin, they just forgot, and just, yeah, it was good. Next, play 4 Dindrain. Dindrain is a very important card. You need to draw cards in hand. You don't, as I said, you don't have the same kill potential as Hazel does, therefore games drag out longer, therefore you need to survive longer. Quick maths. And to finish the grade 1 lineups, play 2 Haugen. I'm honestly not too sure what to put in the slot. Haugen seems to be the best card because if you ride him, you can potentially get a +1, especially if you hit Brainius from him. It's a very nice +1 then. And if not, you constantly have that on-hit pressure with your Vanguard. That if you do pass, you can potentially call something else on Excel Circle and swing another time and deal damage, or get another card from hand just because you hit with the Vanguard. So it's a nice card, I do really like it. But unfortunately there isn't really too much space to run more. I haven't gotten great stuck in this deck, even though we only run 10 grade 1s. That is a possibility, I'm not gonna lie. You could take down some grade 2s, potentially. You could take down grade 3, but I really like the lineup, so that's probably something I wouldn't touch. Although we do run 12 grade 2s, so maybe take down one Vivian because it's Counter Blast and Assault Blast, or maybe one Athels, potentially, I don't know. I like the 2 low PA shooters because if you get both of them in hand at some point, getting 2 of them out at the same time can end the game. But yeah, it's up to you guys. So starter 1 curve, then for the trigger lineup, play 5 draws. Same principle as with Dindrain, needing to survive for longer, so yeah. Then for criticals, I noticed that if you don't run criticals and people catch on, your deck becomes a lot weaker. Because if you don't run criticals and they don't know that, that's fine. Like if you go to a best of 1 tournament, right? That's cool. But if people know that you're running if you're not running critical triggers, they will no guard your Vanguard, and your Vanguard becomes a lot less scarier. Because even with Haugen, yeah, your Vanguard has some potential to rough them up more, but you know, if they know you're not getting a critical trigger, at least they know they're not dying from that attack. So I think 4 criticals is quite good. And play 4 fronts. I really should have all matching fronts, but I just cannot be bothered to change because I've been playing around with trigger lineup so much. And that does leave us with only 3 heals. I'm considering taking down a front for another heal because as said, survivability in this deck is important and some decks just hit really big numbers. So yeah, that's possibly what's gonna happen. Maybe the draw, because the draw is only a 5k and having a 20k shield is basically 15k shield more guard in your deck. So I don't know. But at the moment this is the lineup that I play because I want to have it aggressive and for me to get enough cards in hand to do things. So I guess quick combos to go over. Paladin in hand. Let's say we have freaking 5 damage. Oh, let's go to 4. Let's pretend our game hasn't gone on like that long. Garmore's our Vanguard. We got another Garmore in hand. And then we have an Excel marker, so let's say Garmore there that we already used. We've got a Vivian here. Got 2 of these. This would be a 6 scenario, honestly. Since we'll pretend we rode onto Vivian as well, we don't really have Soul. So let's get a Rampage Turtle and I don't know, Haugen. Let's make it a really nice scenario. So this is on the Excel. I don't have enough space on camera. It can be also potentially the fact that your opponent might attack the Rampage Turtle. It is a big target for attacks, which is quite nice. It's a damage sponge in a way. It helps you survive for longer. They often attack Excel circle things, so actually for the sake of argument, let's pretend we don't have the Garmore and we don't have the Rampage Turtle. Because when we ride into Garmore, these 2 move into Soul. We immediately have enough Soul for our Paladin, yeah? So we draw 2 cards, we draw fucking God Roll here, double Rampage Turtle, because we're overpowered. We call 2 of them, and I don't know, I usually don't actually have a booster from a Vanguard. Because our Vanguard with Garmore's ability becomes a 15k, and even against foes that's good enough to get past. And the Paladin swing, if you're not against foes, is quite good. If you are against foes, then you can swing just for an extra drive check. You know, it's still not too bad. You can get a front trigger if, for example, your opponent got a damage check and screwed you over with your multi attacks. So yeah, let's go with that, and we have a 5k draw trigger in the back, because yeah. So things you would do here, right, is you would first attack with your Vanguard actually. So Haugen is important, but if they see you're attacking with your Vanguard first, they might still guard because of critical triggers. And they might still guard because they think you'll get something better off of Haugen. So let's assume that they do guard. You get Twin Drive, you are very overpowered, so you get a front and fucking double front. Like, why not? God scenario. But it doesn't really matter what you get. As long as you don't get damage checks, it's more or less the same thing, just less numbers. But double front, why not? Let's go with that. So cool, they got it. They're on about 4 damage. It's standard, so let's be honest, unless they're OTT, they're gonna have about 7 cards in hand. You swing with the Vivian, they're probably gonna guard that. Because that only requires them to call 1 card from hand. That's especially more relevant if you didn't get any triggers in your drive check. So then you swing with the big turtle or the small turtle, whichever one, Excel or not. Actually no, this would be the big turtle there. So yeah, you swing with the small turtle, you swing with the Excel turtle. One of these your opponent's likely to not guard. So then you go Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 3, and Superior Right Paladin, yay. What would make this even more broke is if with Garmore's skill you ended up Superior calling something like this. So then your Vanguard swing would be like 23 or potentially 26, but that doesn't make any number differences. So when you Superior Right Paladin, you can even do this. Like go into the Soul, draw another one, and call another one. And if you draw something like a Garmore, or if you had a Garmore sitting, you can continue your combos. Vivian works as well, I guess, with Counterblast, but it's nice with Garmore because it's Assault Blast instead. So let's say we do this, boom, Assault Blast 1, yay, and I don't know, like let's call Athels to excel. So yeah, now you just continue your attacks. If your Vanguard gets past, Haugen activates as well, which is hilarious. But even if they don't, you just start bouncing cards from hand. Turtle, safe. Sagramore for next turn. Athels for next turn, you know? It's just like 3 counterblasts and you're all of a sudden Gucci. It's quite easy to mitigate counterblast in this deck. I never feel like I'm running out too fast, because Dindrain, if I need her to countercharge, she's always there. And I generally don't get these kind of god rolls, but the principle is the same. You try to cheese out Paladin, and if that's not working, you just try to do Rampage Turtle Beatdown. And on that note, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. The deck profile, I'm sure, was a lot more entertaining than my messy combo video, but I tried to kind of explain why I really like Rampage Turtle for one, and why I really like Paladin. With Mark Slash, you could get even more attacks, so if you wouldn't really focus so much on the Paladin skill to bounce, you'd just be focusing on multi-attacks, which is even better. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. It's been DP from Team Troop Drive, sign out.